found that you
I'm not sure. I didn't even read the document, but everything that I gave you is public knowledge. So
lock down on this COVID quarantine, go ahead to Amazon and cop Erotic Liberations. And oh yes, it's very erotic. See, Erotic Liberations is so steamy that it was banned on Facebook, and it will take you to a climax that you have never reached before. See, Erotic Liberations makes 50 Shades of Grey seem like a Dr. Seuss book. It will enhance your creativity, entertain you, and help to raise that freak number. You know, we all want to find our inner freak, you know, that person that we got locked away in a cage, all right? And Erotic Liberations is guaranteed to blow your mind so that you and your partner can blow each other all night. Head to Amazon right now and get Erotic Liberations, authored by Marlon Green and Karen Green.
What's up, my Curry gang and Night and Day family? Won't y'all head over to nightanddaynetmarket.com and check out our large collection of 3D printed t-shirts and hoodies. We fully stocked and ready to go. You'll find your favorite artists, TV series, and movies on these beautifully crafted shirts and hoodies. From Bob Marley to Martin, Biggie, Tupac, Nipsey Hussle, Aaliyah, Prince, Kobe, and many, many more. It's so much shit to choose from. Y'all know we got the best shop online and content to match it. The link is in the description box below. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to the email list to get those discounts. So go ahead over to the shop. Don't be a loser.
All right, people. So we are live. Wait, they were saying the sound, so let me turn it down a little bit. Let me turn it down. And Ty, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, so I'm going to ask the people in the chat if they can hear you. On the phone, I actually have the ex-wife, the first wife of Kel Mitchell. We know Kel from Kenan and Kel, all that, Good Burger, Hood Burger. We remember him from the 90s. He was one of those 90s stars. He was on Dancing with the Stars too. People were saying, don't ruin my childhood. So, I mean, hopefully I don't ruin y'all childhood tonight. But okay, let me look in the chat here. Let me guys know, can you hear her? We have Ty on the phone.
Hi. Hello.
They said they can hear. Okay, all right, perfect. So we're gonna go ahead. Oh, they said turn it down. Okay, let me turn it down a little bit more, and we'll turn it down a little bit more here. We never really know till we get on air like how loud this stuff is. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Boom. They said whose smoke detector? It's Ty's. It's not mine. That's okay.
That is, and you know what? I keep replacing the battery, and it's a problem.
That's okay. Okay, so we're gonna get right to it, Ty. First of all, how are you doing tonight?
I'm actually feeling wonderful. I'm feeling liberated, and I'm just feeling wonderful. I'm excited that I'm able to finally tell my truth. And I appreciate the opportunity, too. I appreciate the opportunity to do it as well.
No, you're very welcome. And, when I actually saw your story on your IG, I had a subscriber send it to me, and you were saying, like, my ex-husband, Kel Mitchell, he's not who you guys think he is. He's abandoned his kids. He owes a bunch in child support. And, I looked at the paperwork, and it's, like, in the millions, which I'm going to have you explain. And so, but before we get into all that, let's just build the story for everybody. Tell us, how did you meet Kel? Like, how did you guys meet?
I was actually visiting a friend of mine at the set of Good Burger, and Kel was making jokes, and he actually insulted me, which was like, huh? And I had a tooth in the front of my mouth that was kind of crooked. And anyway, later on I found out that that's his game, and I was like, wow, that's crazy. But, so he kind of insulted me, but then he was like, no, it's so cute, I have this tooth, and he was like, oh, that tooth is beautiful, and no one had ever mentioned that before, so it made me, like, think, like, huh?
Right.
Anyway.
And before you get into it, they said you sound a little muffled, so are you very close to the phone? They said you sound distorted.
Okay, what about now? Is this better?
Hold on, let's see. Guys, is that better? Is that better now?
Because if it's not, I could just pick up the phone because I have headphones in.
You might want to just pick up the phone because sometimes it gets muffled.
right. Hi, is this better?
I think that is actually.
Okay.
I think that is. Okay. So you were saying you met him on the set of Good Burger and he was making fun of you and that's pretty much how he ran game?
Absolutely, yes. So I met him on the set of Good Burger, and yeah, he made fun of my tooth. Anyway, we started getting to talking, and I liked that he was, he just was upfront, and he was charming, and we actually just started dating after that, and I would like mention different things, such as like, oh, I like to do this, or I like to look at the sunset. And I think later on that same day, the very first day that I met him and let him know that I was interested in astronomy and the stars, he showed up with the telescope. Yes. And it's like, wow. Oh, my goodness. And because I was so focused on my education, I went to private school, and I was just focused on just my education, and I'm really into books. I'm honestly a really big nerd. I didn't have a boyfriend, so actually he was my first boyfriend. He was my first everything.
Oh, wait. You said your first everything?
Absolutely.
Wow. Okay, so this is a really special man to you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think the part of this that hurts, I think the most, is the fact that so we were actually married for 10 years. I know the tabloids say 6 years, but we were actually married for 10 years. And this is someone who I called my best friend. This is someone who I told my secrets to. This is someone who I shared so many interpersonal thoughts with them. And this is a person who I thought was honest and truthful. And while we were dating and even in the beginning parts of our marriage, he was wonderful. I mean, he just did everything that you would want a boyfriend or a husband to do. He was very compassionate, he was very loving. But he did have a bad side. He had another side that was very controlling and manipulative, and so he had a whole other dark side. But everything else overshadowed. At the time I felt like everything else overshadowed that because the person that gives you the best feeling in the world, the person that you think you can be honest with, and we had so much fun. I mean, we were basically kids, but I mean, we had so much fun together that I thought that would never be ruined. I never would have thought that someone who I sacrificed so much of my own life for, and my own money and my own time, and it wasn't like, so I think that sometimes what happens is that people they sensationalize everything, and we're used to kind of like these stories of women who are gold diggers or who are looking for people in the industry to get their money or what have you, whatever. I was never one of those people. My aunt was an agent, and I had been around celebrities my entire life. I've been acting my entire life. I did commercials, and I love doing commercials because you get quick money and then you're done. So I had no intention of becoming famous, of being with a celebrity. I didn't even know that Carol had a TV show. I didn't know what Good Burger was. I had never seen all that. So never seen Keenan Pop.
So you met him on the set, but you didn't quite. Did you not know he was an actor on Good Burger when you met him on the set?
No, I didn't know he was an actor. No, not when I first met him. I had no idea who he was. No, okay. Because the scene that was happening was a scene with the horse, and there was a lot of people. The scene that's inside the part where the horse is actually taken out of the movie, but there's a scene. I think they're inside of Good Burger, or they're working for the enemies or something like that. There's that big scene. There's a lot of people there, so I had no idea. I didn't know that. I didn't know that he was a celebrity. Yeah, no, not at all. I had no idea that.
So let me ask you this: how long was it from the time you started dating him to the time you guys actually got married?
So let's see. It was about 2 years to the actual. But he actually proposed pretty early on, within the first year. And
you had him smitten. You had him smitten with you.
Well, it's well, he told me, he said, he's from a Christian family. These are his values, and we shared the same values. I felt as though, I was a little bit more specific with my own values. And like everybody has their own values. People do what they do themselves. I'm not saying that he's a bad person or terrible person because he had sex with other people before me, and I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is that when you think you're sharing the same values with somebody, you have these expectations that they're going to do the same thing that you would do because, that's what you think, love and support and care. That's what you think it is.
That's what we think, and then a lot of times we get something different. And so I guess what we want to know is, we know Kel to be the sweet guy, the Christian guy. I'm going to just flat out ask you, was he ever like abusive or anything like that?
Honestly, yes, he was. And, so I think for me, especially growing up in an environment that was, so my parents weren't controlling, but it was important, for my family to have a certain kind of a look. You're supposed to look a certain way, you're supposed to act a certain way. And I feel like these things that we're just indoctrinated with as mainly as Black people, as specifically, as a woman specifically, everything that I learned as a child, even with religion, and I'm still a Christian and I believe in God, but I also see the inconsistencies in everything and in the teachings, and I used to believe that, hey, if you do the right things, then you get the right results. I thought life was fair. I thought you do what you're supposed to. That's how I was raised. That's what I was taught. You do what you're supposed to do, and everything works out. When the truth is, no, it doesn't.
It doesn't. And life isn't a fairy tale. And look, we could do everything right, and we still don't know what we would get. Now let me say this, because a lot of people are asking, like, well, wait a minute, how many times has he been married? So you're his first wife. What year did you guys divorce?
2010.
Okay. So, guys, the wife he has now, I believe her name is Asia, and the 2 kids he has with her, those are the ones that we normally see on his social media page. But, Ty, your 2 kids that you have with him, we don't see that much.
Oh, no, not at all. Not at all.
And how old are your kids?
21 and 18. 21 and 19.
21 and 19. Okay, great. So, I had to, let them know, because they're like, wait a minute, I'm on his social media and him and his wife are perfectly fine. Like, guys, people, look, my social media page, I show you what I want you to see. I'm not going to show you all of my life. So,
yeah, I mean, honestly, if really, like, when they got together, I was so happy and excited because I'm like, wow, you found like a perfect person for you. I mean, she was his fan. She was like, like his #1 fan. Like she knew who he was before. Actually, I had met her while we were married.
You met the new while you were married. But let me ask you this, because you said he was abusive. Did you want to give us any instances of what happened to paint that picture? Like what? Because that actually, I would, because okay. I think it's important, especially for Black women specifically, and for other people that maybe don't understand what happens with the criminal justice system when both the victim and the perpetrator are Black. I think we have a misunderstanding as to what happens after that, like what happens. And I as well had a misunderstanding as to the police department and how you could be treated, you could be painted, and I had a huge misunderstanding. So while Kel and I were married, so we were married, and Kel had decided that he no longer wanted to be on Kenan and Kel or all that, and he had opportunity to be on Saturday Night Live. Okay.
And so he had opportunity to be on Saturday Night Live. And so during this time, Kel made residuals. And so he had about a residual income of about $2,000 a year.
$2,000 a year? From what?
Oh, yes. just from just residuals of being on All That or Kenan and Kel or Good Burger residuals or.
Oh, I'm like, that ain't enough to bathe a cricket. I'm like, especially in California.
Oh my gosh, no. I mean, we had a $3,000 mortgage. We had light bills. We had all these different things to pay. And so one of the misconceptions I think about a lot of these kinds of stories are the misconception that people believe that, well, because he's a celebrity, that his income supported the family and, for the entire time or something, as if I just, was just non-existent and I didn't do anything to contribute to the household, which was completely not true. So when Kel and I got together, he was only working for about 3 years. Mm-hmm. So out of that 3 years, and also his money was so completely mismanaged. I mean, I think that's another part of the industry that people don't talk about, is that when you have family members and you have all of these people that are trying to help you manage your money on one end, right? And they're telling you, hey, you're a celebrity, you're making $600,000 a year. But at the end of the day, you're only getting in $100,000. Like, that's all you have to spend. The rest of it goes to taxes and all these other expenses.
Then you're not really doing that much, to be honest. So
yeah, no, you're not. You're not.
But tell us though, because I don't want us to get too far off on off track.
Oh, sure. So we'll
one incident. One incident of abuse. Let us know what happened.
Oh, sure. Okay. So this part is important. The part that I'm talking about is important because it actually sets up the story. So basically, for a lot of men, it's important for them to feel like they want to contribute. And Kel is phenomenal at working. The only problem is that in his brain, the only type of work that he could do was acting. Like, he felt that he did not have any other ability to do anything else, that the only thing that he could do was acting. So during that time, I had to borrow money from my family members, from my grandmother, from my great aunts who worked their entire lives and saved every single penny that they never even got to enjoy. And so, I supported Kel for about 5 years. I, myself, my family, paid for the mortgage, paid for everything in the house, the food, the lights, every single thing.
What was he doing while you was paying all these bills? What was he doing?
He was going through a mental breakdown. He was doing a lot of cheating. He was doing a lot of drugs, which I didn't even know that he was doing drugs. And he was kind of like spiraling out of control.
Now, but wait a minute though. Now, what kind of, was it just the Rasta or was it like hard stuff?
Honestly, it was hard stuff that I found out later.
Okay.
But yeah, at the time, I didn't know. All I knew was that Kel was becoming more and more and more controlling. So how the domestic violence with Kel began, it began with him saying, so before he wasn't working, I would go with him to the set. Well, he wasn't working for a year. He did not get picked up for a Saturday Night Live show, and he just wasn't working. He would go on auditions, and they just weren't selecting him. And so he became more and more controlling. And so at the time, I was going to get my Bachelor of Science in Math, and he would come with me to my college classes and sit in my advanced calculus with me. And now, I thought at first, like, oh, okay, wow, that's just a great husband. That's wonderful. He's come with me to school. But then it's like, wait, I realized that he's coming with me everywhere. And even when he would come with me everywhere, I'd be accused of cheating. Well, of course, I don't know if you know, but a lot of people that accuse other people of cheating, they're the ones that actually are doing the cheating, which is why there is even the accusation.
Right. That's normally how it goes. So okay. So basically, time is going by. He's not booking jobs.
No,
you're paying the bills from your family. So basically, your family's giving you money, and
right. Well, the money's actually coming from my inheritance. Like I had things set up for myself that were supposed to be used in order for me. Like right now, years down the line, these were investments and different things that I liquidated to support my family, including Kel.
Oh, you
And
was a
our
good
children.
woman, because I'd have made his ass get up and look. Home Depot hiring. You better go
Well,
figure
I mean,
that shit out.
I asked him. I did that. I said, Kel, he's like, I can't work at McDonald's. I can't work. I said, well, why don't you be an acting teacher? He couldn't do any of that. So you know what I decided to do as a supportive wife? What I did, I said, hey, you know what? I'm going to write a pilot. So I wrote a pilot, and we sold it to ABC. It didn't get picked up, but it was about our love story. It's called Just Married, and I wrote it. Oh. It's called Just Married. Okay. It was called Just Married, and I wrote it. And it didn't get picked up. So once again, Kel was like bummed out, and he's upset, and he's mad, and it started with like kind of like throwing and cussing, and then he was mad at me because somehow he believed that I was the reason as to why he wasn't getting certain roles, because Kel was the kind of person that would do anything and everything. And at the time, I said, you know, well, we have children, and, you know, I was uncomfortable with the roles some of the roles that he was selecting. And then I didn't think it worked. You know, if you're taking on a role where you're this horrible guy and our kids are watching this, kids don't know the difference between acting and reality
and real life. So
they don't know the difference.
But you also know, like, when it comes to Hollywood and black men, you pretty much got to be either the feminine guy or the gay guy or the drug dealer or the pimp. So was he playing like feminine roles, or was it just like the drug dealer pimp type?
No, I mean, honestly, I will say that I did have some part. I was very. There was a movie, I can't remember the name of the movie, but anyway, I think it's the movie that. Oh my gosh, I can't even think of the name. But anyway, it was a movie about this white girl that came to a black neighborhood, and she was a dancer, and.
I think I know the movie you're talking about. Okay, I think.
And it was a love story.
Okay, but
it was a love story, and Kel could have gotten that role in that movie. And honestly, like, probably one of my pet peeves about many movies and many different things is the heroine white character that comes in, and all of a sudden is so different from the rest of the black people that don't know what they're doing, that the black boy falls in love with. And I'm tired of seeing them. I never wanted to, you know what I mean? I don't want my kids to think that this is like why do we keep telling the same story? And so I know that he blamed me, like I could have done this, I could have taken that role, and it did skyrocket a lot of people's careers, but it's kind of like,
yeah, that's the one with Mekhi Phifer in it.
It was still his decision.
Right.
I'm sorry, what's it called?
Right, that's the one with Mekhi Phifer in it. I can't remember what it's called.
Correct, yes.
So what would cause him to hit you? I'm still not understanding. What would
okay, so basically, while he was going down this spiral, I was the vice president of the National Society of Black Engineers. I had gotten a Google scholarship so I have a Bachelor of Science in Math, I have a Master of Science in Computer Science, and I was getting everything that I wanted to do. My stuff was getting going, and he felt like he wasn't contributing. He was being a stay-at-home dad with the kids, and here I am going around nothing but guys talking about math and engineering, and he started feeling insecure about himself, about his education, I didn't care that he and I didn't share in the same education. That didn't bother me, but, you know, sometimes as a male, and I don't even know what that feels like, but as a man, mm-hmm. I'm sure it would feel, you know, pretty horrible that your wife, and, you know, she's nice looking and all these guys like her, and she's surrounded by all these men, that maybe that makes you feel insecure about your position. And I'd be like, I don't even understand the insecurity, because I'm married to you. You come with me. But I wasn't in his shoes, and we were young, and the only thing that Kel had was his acting career.
Right. But,
and so once that,
don't put fluff on it, because we don't want to. We don't want to give him any excuse. Just
no, not at all. No, I'm not giving him any excuse for it. It's just that, you know, you want to try to understand. I always want to look at things from another person's perspective, because I'm not in their shoes. So I can't ever say that their actions were so terrible, because I don't know what I would have done if I were in their shoes. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't think I would have done that, but you never know until you get into the person's shoes what's going to happen. And the fact that he was using drugs and other things, it's not an excuse, it's just reality. You know, we're young, you know, and who knows, you know, nobody knows how to respond to certain situations or what they're going to do. And so he was used to being a celebrity. He was used to being on television. He was used to being the star. And now I'm doing my thing, and he's kind of like on the side, like his life was just falling apart to him. And so what I said, hey, Kel, I said, hey, let's do Kel Videos Live, which was a parody of kind of like Weird Al Yankovic. And so I told him, I said, hey, let's do Kel Videos Live, which we did. And then I said, hey, after I wrote the pilot, then we got a deal with the production company, and we did Kel Videos Live. It was my idea. I thought of it. And Kel started feeling better about himself. There was another movie that I wrote called Ganked, and I wrote that movie, and because I said, you know what, forget about waiting for all these people to validate you. You're already a celebrity. Right. Why not use your own celebrity to promote yourself? Similar to the Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen. Like, they did a phenomenal job at making sure that they profited from their own celebrity.
Right, but tell us, just tell us, like, right at the point where he hit you. Tell us what.
Oh, sorry.
Right at the point where he hit you.
Okay, well, that's the thing, and it didn't start like that. So it started with, he just started hating everything. He started hating the fact that my parents put in the carpet, so he'd start stabbing the carpet. He started hating the fact that I was leaving the house, and that in his brain I wasn't the wife because he wanted me to not push school. He wanted me to not, he didn't want me to go to school anymore because my teachers were like, you know, it's inappropriate for him to be in the class when he's not a student. So then he even enrolled in the same college I went to, and took different classes at the same time that I took classes just so he could be at the school. So all of these kinds of things are beginning, you know, signs of controlling and abuse. You know, you're stabbing the carpet. He started collecting knives and hiding them behind the bed.
Oh, so he was tripping. He was tripping. It was erratic behavior. So
very erratic, very erratic. And so there was a time I'm reading my kids' books, actually, inside their bedroom, and one of my older sister's good friends, her husband, died and passed away, and he was very young, and she had 5 younger children. And so I'm telling Kel, I'm like, hey, you know, I really need to go over here and to her house to console her with my sister. Well, with Kel, everything's cool until you don't agree with him, or you call him on with his BS, or you just disagree. Kel flips the script. It's almost like two different people. So Kel's nice and wonderful and lovable when you are doing what he wants you to do or what he thinks you should do. The minute that you go against that, all gloves are off. And I didn't know who he was. So at this particular time, I'm reading my kids a bed story, a nighttime story, and I'm getting ready. I'm trying to go to my friend Tasha's house and to talk with her about, you know, just to console her. I mean, her husband just passed away, and she's got 5 small children. And he did not want me to go. And at this time, he said, forget it. No, I need to go. And so he begins to choke me. And he choked me. He put his hands around me in front of my children. And he, he choked me. So I'm like, feeling like I'm about to pass out. And I bite his hand or his hand to let him to release his hold because I'm literally losing oxygen. Right. I bite his hand. I run out the house. As I'm running out of the house and getting in the truck, he throws a brick through the windshield of the car. And so I'm like escaping out the house, like running out because I'm just like, what the heck is happening? I was so confused. So I pick up the phone. I'm calling the police, but my phone was dead. And by the time the police got there, well, one of the officers knew Kel from Good Burger. And Kel tells them a whole different scenario, and they believed that I was the aggressor. Well, at this time as well, and this is kind of why this story is really important, because I don't understand. I mean, I do understand now, but as a woman, especially as a black woman, we are used to going through so much stuff and so much trauma and so much stuff that we're just like, okay, it's okay. You could do whatever you want to do to me, but I need to keep my family together. And during this time, Kel had booked what movie did he book? He booked the movie with Snoop Dogg, which was being filmed in Canada.
Okay.
And so I knew that if you get arrested and you have to go to court, you cannot leave the country. And at this time, like I said, I was the only one making the income. I think he was going to get about $60,000 for this movie. So the officer said, well, you're definitely going to jail. And depending on what you tell us about Kel, then he will probably also go to jail. And while they're inside of her house, they're looking around and they're like, how did you guys do this? How are two black kids, both of us look very young, right? How are these two black kids with kids living in a house in a very nice part of Pasadena?
So they saw that you had been choked, but they were still threatening to take you to jail as well.
Oh, no, they didn't threaten. They did. They didn't threaten. They took me to jail. I was arrested for domestic violence after I called the police regarding the domestic violence that Kel did against me. And this is honestly probably one of the first times where I ever saw just such an evil side of Kel, because Kel said, I told you that you were not supposed to leave, and it's ungodly for you to, not follow my decisions because you're my wife.
Oh, he's one of those.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes. Oh, he always used religion when it benefited him. When he was having sex with prostitutes and having sex over here with different women.
Oh, he likes
different women.
He likes prostitutes?
Oh, man. Come on. Yeah. Yeah.
Now what kind of prostitutes are these? The Eddie Murphy kind of prostitutes, or?
Honestly, and you probably go to. And honestly, I don't even know. I can't tell you that he was who he was having. I wasn't there. But he would smell like I don't know. These women would have perfumes, and I don't even know. I have a different opinion about it now than I did then, but there were some sexual acts that I wasn't comfortable with. Just like I said, he was my first everything, and I have been taught and I've been indoctrinated and been trained to think that if you have sex in it, for myself, I used to think that if you have sex in these other positions, that you were nasty, that you were unladylike, or you weren't classy, and you weren't a woman, that you had to have sex.
What was he asking you to do? What was he asking you to do?
Just say anal sex.
Oh.
Let me just say it. Anal sex. And so, but once again, in the Bible, they say that that's not good. But then also in the Bible, it also says that you should be, you should listen to your husband. You should be subservient to your husband. So basically, he would use that fact of what I was not willing to do with him, or was my first come on, that just wasn't going down for me.
But my thing is, if you were a virgin when you guys got together, and so it's like you have to build up. Look, before you become, I'll say, a backdoor bandit. Before you become a backdoor bandit, you got to work up to that, and so it kind of makes me think: who had he been having backdoor activities with before you for him to want to go right to that?
Right, well, I'm not sure. I don't think it was right, too. It was kind of like he would kind of bring in sex swings and bring in contraptions and bring in all these things, and it was just too much for me.
He was a freaky Christian.
I didn't even understand. The man couldn't use a hammer or a nail, but he was in our bedroom hanging up a sex swing with a screwdriver. I'm like, what's happening? You didn't even know the difference between a Phillips and a flathead, but now you are.
You know how to put up a sex swing. Okay.
Right. I was so confused. What's happening?
So let me. So let me ask you this, because I know the people saw the paperwork and they want to know, and then I'm gonna have you tell the IRS story next.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
He
owes you, how much does he owe you in child support? Because it says over $1.2 million on the paperwork.
Sure. Well, it's all separated. It's all separate. So there was an amount that he owes in back child support. But the majority of the amount that he owes are because of what he did while we were in the middle of our divorce. So, Kel decides to file for the divorce, and after he filed for the divorce, he was just, I'm just going to make sure to make your life miserable. And so, I'm thinking oh, wow, that's insane. We don't even have to do it like that. We can just not go to court. Well, I wanted to purchase, Kel's interest from the property because I felt that was fair. Even though he did not pay the mortgage or do anything within the last couple of years because he wasn't working. I thought that it was, it was fair and equitable for me to buy him out of the house because he didn't want the house. He didn't want to live there. So I actually secured a loan for $850,000 for the house, and we purchased the house for $300,000. So, it's a very good investment. And so because he was angry with me, he decided to sell the house to a billionaire investment banker with the help of Coldwell Bankers. And he decided to do that, and he sold. So I'm trying to pay him out $850,000, and he sold the house for $765,000 in the middle of the divorce against so many different restraining orders, because you're never supposed to do that.
And he kept all of the money too, didn't he?
Well, he actually after he sold the house without telling me, and sold the house with me and the kids in it, he actually put the money in his girlfriend at the time's bank account to shield the money from me and the kids, because he knew that what he was doing was wrong. And at that same time that he sold the house, my family were supporting me. I know I told you off air that I have sickle cell disease, and so I have sickle beta thalassemia. If I get sick, I go into the hospital. Well, when I would get sick and go into the hospital, my family would put money inside of the bank accounts. So at the same time that he sold the house for $150,000 less than what I was going to give him, and it was actually $425,000 less than the actual value of the house. So the house was valued at $1.1 million, and he sold it for $765,000. The courts decided after 3 trials, and after me spending over $900,000 in attorney's fees trying to save the house that he sold, and then he walked away from the divorce proceeding. Like, I sold the house. They froze his girlfriend's bank account. I think he was able to maybe use $50,000 or $25,000 of the money or something like that. They froze her bank account. They took the money from the proceeds of the sale of the house, and they paid my attorneys.
Okay, so that's a whole lot of money being shuffled around, and then I'm listening.
Yeah.
I'm listening to this like, wow, y'all got a lot of money just to be throwing this money around like this. So, okay, so he sells the house. You guys get divorced. How much was he supposed to?
Wait. So he sells the house, but the problem is that he sold the house. He breached his fiduciary duty to the family by selling the house, because that was our only asset.
Okay.
So he sold the house maliciously and fraudulently. And because of that, he owed me an additional $425,000 because that's the value of the house.
Oh, okay. So when I'm looking at this paperwork here, it says from the family court. This was stamped from Los Angeles County, and guys, a copy of this paperwork is actually on my IG, because for privacy stuff we can't put that on YouTube. But it says, as of February 26, 2020, total judgment was $595,909.50. Now my thing is, why are they putting in the 50 cents? I just thought that was funny, but I'm sorry.
No, it's hilarious.
But
no, it's funny.
But then it says interest. The interest occurred. Okay, I can't say that word.
Accrued?
Yes, accrued. Thank you. It's been a long day. The interest, it has $599,827.81. $40 fee for basically for writing up the paperwork. So a total of $1,195,777.31. And so that amount, does that include the amount he owed you for the house in addition to child support, or is it all child support?
Sure. Well, that amount is actually, and that's why I'm saying that the amount is actually more than that, because that amount only includes the money that the $425,000 that he owed me for the house, and the money that he was owed in back child support. So that's a combination of the two. And get this though, because I know people are always looking at the interest and they're like, oh, look, the interest is so high. But the thing is, and the important part, and this is something that I didn't understand as a woman and as the person that I am now, is that, well, the main problem with this is that if he wouldn't have done those things that he did, and if I would have had access to the $425,000, and let's say I had access to that entire amount, that $525,000, I could have put that into an IRA, and I could have gotten 17% interest yearly. So actually, even though that's money, 10% interest. Anytime you pay 10% interest every 10 years, that doubles. Mm-hmm. So he was supposed to pay that in 2010. He didn't pay anything, and that doubled, which is why the numbers are very similar. They're not exactly the same, but after 10 years, 10% interest is double that. So imagine 17 years. I would have gotten 17% interest if I would have invested that money. So that means that by now, I would have been paid. And I wouldn't have had to use my entire inheritance, over $900,000, to basically try to keep my kids in the same house, because I knew that house is now worth $5 million. So, I picked the house out because I knew how important it is to have land and have value. That wasn't important to him. And I did everything possible that I could to save the house. So I know some people are like, that's a lot of money for having kids. I have spent so much money on the lawsuit that he caused because of what he did wrong, and $1.2 million is nothing. That's not nothing. That's nothing, because if I would have had my $900,000, if I would have had the money from the house, and I would have a $5 million investment, I could actually have been living off of the income, off of the interest. I could have just been living off of the interest.
You could have been chilling. You actually could have been chilling. And so, okay, wow. So that's a lot of money. So here's the thing.
Oh, wait, hold on. Let me just add this other part too, because and the reason why it's over that is because during the time that we were going through the divorce, he took money out of my account that my family put in. Oh, wow. So that money is not even on there. So I'm in the hospital. I'm sick. I'm trying to pay the mortgage that he refuses to pay. I'm trying to take the kids that he refuses to take care of or see. And I'm telling him, I'm saying, we don't even have to do this. You're upset about child support. You don't have to pay child support if you just had your kids 50% of the time. This is so simple. You take care of the kids 1 week, I take care of them the next week. Kids need their dad. They need their father. He had a father. I had a father. I just, I can't believe somebody would deny, someone who had a dad would deny their own children.
Especially a Christian.
Father. Especially a Christian?
Yeah, especially a Christian.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. The Bible talks about that. The Bible talks about the importance of taking care of your children, of taking care of your offspring, of taking care of your responsibilities. And while I was doing all of that and taking care of the responsibilities and picking up the pieces that he left, and in the middle of all this, when his parents would come in town, he would call me and say, hey, I want my visitation. When it was his birthday, he'd call me, hey, I want to see the kids. And I wouldn't even say no. Okay, sure, pick him up. And then he just stopped. Everything, just stopped it all.
It's just unfortunate because today, like you were telling me yesterday, him and the children you guys have together, they don't have a strong relationship, and
not at all.
It's really. Let me ask you, have you ever gotten a child support payment from him at all? Anything?
So I have actually never gotten a voluntary child support payment from him, period. So anytime any sort of payments would be made, Kel would hide his money. He'd have these other nonprofit other corporations, and he'd hide his money. He has his wife purchase things so that he pretends as if he's not making any money. He completely evades any kind of financial obligation, and that to me is abuse, because your negligence caused your children's lives to be completely affected by it. While you were buying chains and buying Benzes and getting married and using my children's college fund to support yourself, my son, who's now 21, who was going to school to become an architectural engineer, but he didn't feel comfortable continuing on with his education because he didn't want to put any strain on me financially, and he knew that his dad was not going to pay for his college education, even though my son, who at the time he made over $300,000 in commercials, and we used most of his money to live on before, so that money was used. And I said, Carol, how are we going to get Lyric his money back? He said, don't worry, I'll make it back. I'll make sure everything's okay. You know, he's like, I'm not like that. I would never do that to anybody. I would, I'm going to be there for my kids. And I believed him. I believed this person. I loved him enough and I respected him enough even until recently. So for the past couple of years, he's been telling me he doesn't have money. I don't have the money. I can't do it. I don't have the money. Now he's been on show after show after show. I don't have the money. I don't have the money. And it's so crazy because I got an email from my attorney, and my attorney is saying, be careful, because there's a court order that says you can't talk about information in his discovery. Just big words for I can't bring up information that he had to give the court regarding his income. And so I did let my attorney know. I said, wow, that's just so interesting that even though Kel has never once followed any court order, he wants me to now follow a court order regarding anything else, and it's that kind of inconsistency. If Kel, and this is so crazy because I don't hate Kel. I never understood why we couldn't be like, like you see a lot of white people do, you see other nationalities do, and everybody's at the games, everybody's in support. I don't have an issue with Asia. We were young. Yeah, I don't have an issue with his new wife. I love his kids. Those are my children's brother and sister. I'm not trying to get out here and trying to defame him and do all these things. The only thing I can do is I have to look out for myself, because guess what? You didn't. You didn't look out for your kids. I did.
He didn't. And, and it sounds like he has, two. Well, he does. He has 2 new kids now, and he's doing his own thing. But let me absolutely. So let me ask you this. Let's ask this to just put a bow on it. If I had Kel right in front of me, what do you want from Kel today?
All I want him to do is to agree to pay a monthly payment to me for his past obligations. And I have come to him for the past 11 years asking the same thing. And it's just like, at this point, I want to also ask him, why do you feel it's your duty and your responsibility to pay an attorney so that you don't have to pay your ex-wife for, especially, I don't consider myself a regular ex-wife who's a celebrity wife, when I struggled with you. I helped you to become who you are now. I took care of our children while you didn't, while you became the person that you are now, and then you don't even talk to your own son. You used his money, but you didn't even want to pay for his own college. It's just like,
which is sad. Is and I do have to reiterate that yes, all of these things are alleged, and I'm letting you tell your side of the story, and we just have to say that legally or whatever. But basically, you want him.
I want to have just a little bit of a clarification, because true, things are alleged until they're proven. So we actually went to trial and was proven that he breached his fiduciary duty and sold the family residence. So that's not alleged. That's actually proven. It's in our family law court judgment, and that's publicly available. So there are other things. Maybe anal sex. He might say, no, it didn't happen. Sure, those things are alleged, but there are some things that are fact. The fact is that he had a responsibility to pay for the children that he created. He had a duty and responsibility to take care of his ex-wife, who we were married for 10 years, and our children, not because he's a man and because he made more money, but because I made that same sacrifice for years when you didn't. And you promised me that you were going to make good by it, and I believed you. Yeah. And I waited for 11 years, and I supported you, and I invited him to my children's graduation. I invited him to different things, even though he would take me to court and fight me over sending my kids to private schools, I would still, and here I go, he refuses to pay for the kids' private schools, and you cost me $80,000 in attorney's fees arguing over our kids, you know, trying to go to private schools. It's just, it doesn't make sense. And we as black people need to stop doing that, because you're destroying black families. You are destroying black families. You are, when you do this, when you decide that you're not going to protect your daughter, you're not going to protect your son, when you decide to walk away from your responsibilities and decide that, hey, I'm just going to go start a whole new family and just forget about my other family, it just doesn't go away.
It does.
You know, you have children. It doesn't go away. They're still there. They're breathing. They need things. And it's not like, you know, he was young. He did all these kind of things. You can still make it up. You're alive. Okay, you are alive.
Oh no! As long as you're alive, you can still make a change. You
can still make it up.
It's not too late to make a change. But,
not at all.
But the thing is, first he has to acknowledge where he's wrong, and if he can't,
yeah, he's got to be accountable. Yeah,
right. If he can't even do that, then you're not going to get anywhere. So, look, I'm glad that we went over this today. I'm glad that at least you had a chance to tell us about a different side of him that we like normally don't see. Are you okay if we take a few questions from the chat really quick?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. That's fine.
Okay. So I'm going to let people ask their questions here. All right, guys, we got like 9 more minutes. So ask your questions. Put them in the chat. Okay. Oh, you know what? I might not be able to look at it there because we're on my phone here. Let's see. Okay, guys, put your questions in. And while that's popping up, hit save. Okay. Okay, come on, put your questions. One person asked, what kind of phone do you have? I don't know why they asked. I don't know why they asked that.
An iPhone?
You're right. They I don't know why they asked it. They're so silly.
Probably because maybe I sound muffled. I don't know. Who knows?
Okay. Why did you go to jail?
So basically, when he sold the house to this real estate broker for less than the value, and I spent over $900,000 fighting for the house. After 3 trials, I won the house in my family court judgment as my sole and separate property. Well, after I won the house, see, that's one of the things, too, that I think people get confused. So anytime you invite white people and you invite people in your business and there's an asset, believe me, they are going to try to take that asset at whatever cost. So after I won my case and I won the house back, my attorney says, hey, you go ahead, you go get a loan on the house, you go do whatever you need to do with the house because it's your house now. So, and guess what? I'm sure if I was a white person, I probably would be able to do that, and, this wouldn't be my story. But as it turns out, I get a loan on the house about a month later. Not a month, probably like 2 weeks later, I get arrested for stealing my own house.
Oh.
Okay. Yes, I get arrested for grand theft of house because even though I had a family court order that stated that the house was my sole and separate property, the person who purchased the house also had another lawsuit in civil court stating that he believed the house was his house. And get this is so important. So people out there, please listen to what I'm telling you because this probably happens way more than we think. So after I won the house back, and a lot of times there's a lot of money on the table. He got the house for $765,000. The house by this time is worth over $3 million. And so this is an investment for him. So even though I won the house in my family law, this $1 billion guy decides he's good friends with the head of the criminal courts division in Los Angeles County. And he arrests me. He arrests me for, he files a lawsuit against me stating that, a criminal lawsuit, stating that I stole the house from him, even though I won it back in my family court judgment. But get this, so when he did that and they put out a warrant for my arrest, I didn't even know I had a warrant for my arrest right before Christmas. I'm pulling outside, taking my kids to school, and I get arrested for grand theft of my own house. Get this, so at this time that I get arrested, I said, oh my gosh, like, what the heck? I had never been to, besides the time that I was arrested for domestic violence, that actually ended up getting thrown out because they realized that I was a victim of domestic violence after the police were called to my home over 18 times in like a 4-month period because of Kel's crazy behavior. And so they, oh my gosh, this is a victim of domestic violence. So that had been thrown out. So I didn't have a record. I didn't have anything. Here I go winning this house. Well, it turns out when you get arrested for a crime and they put you in jail, you now can no longer go to civil court. So this was completely set up and intentional.
Oh.
The $1 billion investor used his money to put me in jail so that I'd be held there. And let me tell you, they added a charge that stated that I was not a citizen of the United States of America. And this charge they added...
Oh, wow.
Oh, yes. Yes, they told me that I wasn't a citizen of the United States of America. And my attorney, because of this type of charge that was added, my bail, which was supposed to have been $50,000, went to $2.4 million in cash, which I could not. I did not have, nor did I have access to $2.4 million in cash, especially after spending over $900,000, which my entire inheritance that I spent to save the house. Now I'm in jail for stealing it. And while I was in jail, the $1 billion investor went into civil court and won the house back from under me. But because I was in jail, there was nothing that I could do. So when that happened, my attorney said, hey, you know what, you might as well just settle for the case and just give them back the money for the loan. And so I said, fine, I'll give them back the money for the loan. But the problem was that I believe it was like in 2005 or 2006, Kel told the court that he made $26,000. And he actually filed documents with the IRS that said that he made $26,000. Well, in 2006, he actually made like around $400,000.
But he probably funneled that money through a corporation so that he only paid himself $26,000.
No. At this time, he hadn't started doing that yet. So he just lied, and he submitted fraudulent documents to the IRS saying that he made $26,000. They found out that he made over $300,000, and now he owed a tax debt of about $120,000. And when I got the loan on the house, that money goes immediately to the IRS. That $120,000 went immediately to the IRS. And so they're asking me for that money back. How do I get that money back? I couldn't. I had spent everything, so I, instead of fighting my case, I'm like, well, guess what? I did all this stuff. Like, this is where the part where I realized that just life just isn't fair. You could do all the right things, you could fight for something, and still at the end of the day, something else can happen. So because I could not pay them the $125,000 that was Kel's IRS debt because he decided to lie to the courts and to the IRS about how much he made that year, and I couldn't pay that $125,000. I agreed to stealing my own house. I did a plea bargain, and you hear about this in courts. You hear, that the district attorneys and everybody uses plea bargains in order for you to agree that you did something. And I knew. I said, you know what? I have to do this because guess what? I can't get out of jail and try to go back and get the house because he already won it in civil court. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there was nothing else for me to do.
You were just screwed. You were just screwed, yeah.
I mean, what are you supposed to do? Not only that, but literally, okay, when this happened, I also agreed to a 5-year felony probation. So I literally just got off for probation for this January 14th of this year, 2021.
Okay.
So, and to act like, because Kel has another version in his brain about, I don't even know if Kel even understands, or, sometimes I wonder if Kel has the capability of even, understanding all of this thing, because, I don't know, I'm not sure, but, yeah, I mean, and it's so funny because some people are like, why would you go to jail for this person? I never intentionally wanted to go to jail. I never wanted to pay Kel's IRS tax debt. But when you're married and you're legally married to a person who was legally married in 2005 and 2006, you are legally responsible for that person's debt, whether or not you got any of the money.
That is true. Okay. Yeah. That is true. So you end up, so how long, how long? I
was in jail for 3 months.
Wow.
But I had to do 5 years felony probation, not leaving the state of California, being bound by all of these different conditions, raising my children on my own in a domestic violence relationship that he knew about. Yes. And he refused to help at all. Well, let me take that back. Actually, he did help because I got my children removed from me because I was getting beat up by my second ex. And at that time, Kel says, hey, I'll take all the kids. I'll just take all the kids. Now, he hadn't seen his own kids in about 7 years, but he was going to take my 2 and my other younger ones, and he was going to be responsible for all of them. So maybe that was his effort to try to make things right or make amends. But guess what? As soon as the DCFS case was over, Kel's back to being MIA. My son's playing lacrosse. Kel couldn't get to anything that the kids were doing after the case was over.
It's sad. Wow.
Yeah.
It's just unfortunate.
It is. It's unfortunate. Yeah, it is.
Well, I tell you what. Look, I think, I think people have learned this week between this story, Derrick Jackson, all that stuff, people are just not who they appear to be. And so I thank you for coming on the show. Before you go, did you want to shout out your Instagram? I mean, you can if you want to.
Oh, definitely, yeah, definitely. Please, it's Thai Banging, and I've actually started putting together a database and some of the information on how, hopefully other women and other people that were in relationships, how you can navigate this court system without giving your money away to the people, that don't need it. So I just think, I think we should have more of these conversations. I think that, especially us as a community, with everything else that's going on, if we don't stand by the people that our children, we don't stand by our exes who we decided to have children with, who we were married with for 10 years, if we don't stand by and stand up for what we believe in, this is going to continue. I think it's sickening that I have to tell my daughter what kind of clothes to wear because a man can't control his dick. I think it's sickening that I have to tell my son to be completely disrespected by the police so he can be alive. And it's sad. Until we stop allowing silence and allowing secrecy to control our thoughts, until we stop allowing people's ideas or opinions of us control our thoughts, how can we ever be free? Like we don't have freedom. If some man can come in and purchase a house that he had nothing to do with and put a woman, a single mom in jail for that and steal the house from under her. And I mean, and I'm sure this is not just my story. I'm sure this happens just so often. And thank God I had the ability and I had the family support. But I think about all these women and all these kids that are homeless and out here eating crackers and out here living in their cars because their ex-husband or even the ex-wife refused to help and refused to take responsibility. And then at the same time that they refuse to take responsibility, they're in their BMWs and they're purchasing $800,000 houses and they're showing their gold chains and they're preaching kindness and about family and then it's just like, it's not fair.
It's not fair.
It's not right.
It's not.
It's not fair. No, it's not. And I'm tired of this. Like, we as a community, how can we ever move forward as a community if we don't protect our own community? I don't have a problem with Kel. I don't have an issue with Kel. I love Kel. We had children together. I love that we had children together. Our children were actually planned. Kel's been in the media saying, stuff like, oh, we didn't plan. No, we knew exactly what we were doing when we were having our children, even when we were young. We decided to do that together as a unit.
Well, I'm going to say this. No matter what, they hear now. It's the old people used to say.
Absolutely.
So that's all that matters. Absolutely. So, okay. So, I think, Miss Taisha, I thank you for coming on.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm just excited to have even a platform. I'm so excited that that people are even paying attention and people are even listening because thank you for having these kinds of conversations and getting to the reality you can't start from nowhere. Like, people want to say, oh, why is, people want to keep talking about slavery, or people don't want to talk about institutional racism. Well, we have to continue talking about it so that people become accountable and aware of what's happening, or else it keeps continuing.
That's true.
That's really honestly like what this is about. I mean, it is for me also about the money, because you know what, we're about to probably hit a recession, and you know what, I can't trust that Kel, if something happens to me, I can't trust that Kel's going to be there for my children.
No, I get it. I mean, and based on the track record, yeah, I get it. So, okay, so we're gonna leave it there, and we're gonna let the people, do as they do. But thank you so much for coming on, and we'll be in touch. Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate it, and please send me the link too, so I can make sure I can post it on my story.
Absolutely.
Thank you, though. I appreciate it. I appreciate your honesty, and I think you're a phenomenal interviewer. And just keep doing your thing. Like, just keep getting out there and telling these stories and educating people and listening to people. And I just think it's awesome that now that we have that ability to do that. So Absolutely. Keep doing what you're doing. And anytime, there's a lot more to this story. And I haven't gotten any response from Kel yet, so I'm sure I'll be putting out another video tonight. So I'll definitely send it to you.
Okay, now. All right, now. You enjoy your evening, okay?
All right, thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys, we're going to run commercials here, and then we'll be, I'll take a few questions, and then, we'll be right back.
Are you ready to be liberated? Have you found that you and your partner's love life is boring and you need a boost? Then I got the perfect book for you. While we all locked down on this COVID quarantine, go ahead to Amazon and cop Erotic Liberations. And oh yes, it's very erotic. See, Erotic Liberations is so steamy that it was banned on Facebook, and it will take you to a climax that you have never reached before. See, Erotic Liberations makes 50 Shades of Grey seem like a Dr. Seuss book. It will enhance your creativity, entertain you, and help to raise that freak number. We all want to find our inner freak, that person that we got locked away in a cage, all right? And Erotic Liberations is guaranteed to blow your mind so that you and your partner can blow each other all night. Head to Amazon right now and get Erotic Liberations, authored by Marlon Green and Karen Green.
What's up, my Curry gang and Night and Day family? Won't y'all head over to nightanddaynetmarket.com and check out our large collection of all over 3D printed t-shirts and hoodies. We fully stocked and ready to go. You'll find your favorite artists, TV series, and movies on these beautifully crafted shirts and hoodies. From Bob Marley to Martin, Biggie, Tupac, Nipsey Hussle, Aaliyah, Prince, Kobe, and many, many more. It's so much shit to choose from. Y'all know we got the best shop online and content to match it. The link is in the description box below. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to the email list to get those discounts. So go ahead over to the shop. Don't be a loser.
All right, people. Let me go ahead and take that down. Bam. All right. You know what? I'm kind of liking this background here. You know what I mean? Like, I'm kind of liking it. It looked like I'm in a mansion. Y'all missed when I was in a bedroom. Low key, I may just go get a picture of my old bedroom and just put that in the back since y'all miss it so much. Because this is good, but it's low key enough that it's not too busy in the back and I'm not blending in. So I like this shit. All right. Anyway. All right, it's Karen Creams, the author's real name. Hell, I don't know, but hey, if she creaming, she'll definitely sell some books.
Okay. It's not too busy in the back.
All right, so let me answer some questions here. Let's see. Renee says, so basically, Kel is another Derek John Gray, pretty much, allegedly. Let's see. It looks nice. Let's see. They said I like this background. I like it too. It don't. EXO loves it. They don't have no furniture, but it's nice. Look, a lot of folks then got places with no furniture. It don't matter as long as your rent paid. That's all that matters. That's all that matters. Ba 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 da ba ba ba. Let's see. Black Daisy says Storm Viewer. Get into the. Where is she from? She's from LA. She's from LA. Let's see. Storm, do you understand what she was talking about? Yeah. Yeah, I do. Yeah. She got a bad rap with this marriage. Well, I mean, yeah, honestly. Ashbash says so he don't see the kids at all. According to Taisha, he doesn't see them that much. It's sporadic. They're not really as close. But like I said, he has 2 younger kids, and allegedly he's way more closer with them. But those kids are also in his household too, and so it appeared to be a situation of your old family versus your new family, and you pay more attention to your new family than you did your old family. All right. Anything else? Anything else? Storm, did you see Mitchell came in just now and said the ex-wife was pregnant by someone else during the marriage? We didn't even get to the point to be able to ask that. We didn't even be able to ask that. I'll probably just DM her and then let y'all know. I'll DM her and let y'all know. All right, so I'll be back later so we can do some more stories. And I love y'all. Like, comment, subscribe, share if you care. And I will catch you guys later.